You and me and you, both of us together. Hi, it's Eden. How are you? I'm good. Thanks for asking. You're probably here because you've just found out that one of your loved ones has OCPD. OCPD, or Obsessive Compulsive Personality Disorder, is a personality disorder defined in the DSM-5 under the C cluster of personality disorders, the close relative of avoidant personality disorder and dependent personality disorder. Your loved one with OCPD may display traits such as the preoccupation with details, rules, lists, order, organization, or schedules to the extent that the major point of the whole activity is lost. They may show excessive perfectionism to the point that it interferes with task completion, like they're not able to complete a task because it's just not up to the standard or their high expectations of what they thought the task was going to be. They may show excessive devotion to work and productivity to the point where they will neglect leisurely activities and family life in favor of work. They may display behaviors of overconscientiousness, scrupulousness, inflexibility when it comes to morality, ethics, rules, and values. They may be unable to discard objects that clearly need to go in the bin, such as items that are broken or items that really just don't have any value, like old clothes or boxes or things like that. They may be reluctant to hand tasks over to somebody else because they want to be in control of the task and what is going on. They may also be very miserly when it comes to spending money, but they will occasionally binge and just buy the most random of random things. And they also may display a lot of rigidity and just plain stubbornness. So today's video is one that I've actually been grappling with for a little while because I've been wanting to make a video for a while that connects with the loved ones of somebody who has OCPD, because we're quite self-aware and we know just how awful it can be sometimes. We don't really like being this way. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It really, depends on what the particular trait that we're displaying at the time is. But I feel like there is this need to bridge a gap, and people like me with OCPD find it so hard to display our emotions and connect with the people that we love. We like to put on this facade that we're okay when we're really, really, really not okay. So I want to make this video to try and help bridge that gap and to try and open some dialogue between yourself and the person that you love with OCPD. So let's get into it. The first thing you can do if you have a loved one that has OCPD is to praise their imperfections. I know that sounds counterproductive because we are perfectionists and we really like things to be as perfect as possible, but we often don't see the beauty in the imperfection. We often don't see that an imperfection creates uniqueness, which is really cool, but we don't see that. We also know that when we create things, when we create a piece of work, that because we know the work so well because we are the ones who made it, we are very quick to point out the flaws that came about in the process of creating it. And you may not have even seen those flaws at all. So if we are showing you a piece of work, something we've done, a project that we've been working on, and we're pointing out all the things that we feel are wrong with them, praise those things. Just saying something like, look, it's okay, it's still fine, is not really quite enough for us because it's just a bit of a heuristic. It's just kind of like a shortcut to a compliment, and to us it doesn't feel genuine, and that might just be because there is no specificness. Find a way to express how those things, how those particular imperfections and those mistakes that they see, how they make that thing unique, how they make that thing a reflection of the person who created it. So praise the imperfections. Tell them it's okay to be, it's okay that things are imperfect every now and then. Don't tell us it's still good, but just tell us that it's okay that there's an imperfection there. It's okay that it's not quite up to our standard. It's still a huge personal reflection of just how organized and creative we can be. So praise those imperfections. Tell us we're awesome, even if it's imperfect, because imperfect means unique. The next thing you can do is acknowledge the need for sameness, but work with us to create change when change needs to happen. We don't like change. Change sucks. We just hate it so much because change brings us so much anxiety. We can't predict or control what's going to happen when things change. Because we can't predict or control what's going to happen, we start overthinking what could possibly happen, especially if it's negative, because, you know, we love to do damage control. We love to make sure that if something bad happens, we've got a plan backed up, all ready to go. So if change needs to happen, talk to us first. Open that dialogue. Consulting us first and talking us through what's going to happen and how it's going to happen is just going to make things a lot easier for us, and it's going to make the change much easier for us to come to terms with. Even if it's just as simple as moving furniture around in the home. If we come home and all the things are moved around and it's not like how it was when we left the house, it's going to bring us a lot of anxiety. It's not how we left things, and it's just going to make us very, very angry. We often get very angry, and anger for us is a better response than fear. So it's easier for us to be angry than it is for us to be afraid. So we do tend to get very upset and irritable very quickly, especially when it comes to things that take the control away from us. So if change has to happen, talk to us about it and run us through the steps. Run us through what needs to happen with the change and let us put our own input in. Let us have a hand in the change and how it's going to happen, because the more input we have, the more control we have of the situation, and the less anxiety we feel, the less afraid we feel about having the change happen. Also, give us time to think about the change. Don't create a change and then say, right, this is happening instantly. Give us a day or two to really think about it and consider the change. We might be able to generate more options to make the change even better. So just give us some time to think about it and talk with us about the change. Inflexibility of change is directly linked to our fear of loss of control. When we lose control of a situation, we will act erratically. This behavior is our way of communicating that we're dysregulated and we need support. When the fear of losing control hits us, like when plans suddenly change, you can help us just by communicating the solution. You can help us by just telling us what the fix is going to be, letting us know step by step what the change is, how it's going to replace the original thing that was going to happen, why it's a good thing, and with as many facts as possible. It gives us a moment to just calm down and know that if something is happening and if a bad thing is happening, there's already a plan in place that we can direct ourselves to just to help control and just calm ourselves down. Then instead of us overthinking about the change and the things that are going to happen, we can comfort ourselves knowing, no, we have a plan in place now and it's going to be okay. We can direct our attention, we can direct our anxiety back to the plan and know that it's okay. We've got it all in hand. It's gonna be all right. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine. The next one is, it's okay to laugh at us. It's okay to laugh at our quirks. We know that we are really quirky. We know that we tend to go down rabbit holes of research about things that really just don't have any kind of constructive or productive use in our day-to-day lives, but it's interesting nevertheless. We do have quite a high level of self-awareness, especially when it comes to just weird little things like keeping boxes. Obviously, we love to hoard boxes because you never know when you're gonna need a good box, and you never know when you're gonna need a box to put things in, and there are just so many boxes of all different fun shapes and sizes. So we like to keep boxes because then we know that if we ever need things to put it in, we've got a box. You know, it's like we know that it's a kind of a useless item and that boxes are everywhere and very easy to get a hold of, but it's nice to have boxes. So just laugh with us. It's okay that we've got so many boxes. I have code words that my partner and I will use when I am displaying the trait of the inability to let things go. He'll ask me if I really want to keep the moldy sandwich. It doesn't really matter what it is. It could be a box, it could be a lid. I have a hard time of letting go of lids because sometimes, you know, you can pair the lid up with the original container that it came in, you know. So I have a hard time of letting go of lids. I have a hard time letting go of old clothes, old shoes, things like that. So he'll ask me, it's a moldy sandwich. He'll say, Eden, it's a moldy sandwich. Can we get rid of it? Do we really need it? Can we get rid of the moldy sandwich? And I'll laugh because it's a bit of a bastardized reference to a cartoon, the hoarding episode of South Park, actually. The direct quote is not a moldy sandwich. The direct quote is like a bag. It's a baggie with a moldy sandwich with maggots in it, something like that. But moldy sandwich just works better. He uses that with me to kind of just bring a little bit more light to the situation. And when he knows I'm starting to feel a bit anxious about throwing that particular thing out, he can just ask me, look, it's a moldy sandwich. Do you need it? Can we get rid of it? Like, oh, yeah, I guess I don't really need it. It is just a moldy sandwich, isn't it? So I love using the moldy sandwich code word. It's so good. And it also just gives me a bit of a space to be able to laugh at myself because I'm hanging onto a lid, thinking to myself, yes, no, maybe I will actually find the container that it belongs to, but knowing full well that the container that it belongs to was probably thrown out months ago and I just don't want to let go of it because I can't. For whatever reason, I can't. So laugh with us with our quirks. Create code words if you really want to. One of our group members suggested the whole, oh, did I OCPD that again? Like, yes, honey, you did, which I really like that as well. So create a bit of humor, smile and nod while we're telling you about how to sand down a boat deck to create the smoothest surface possible before applying polish, you know, like just laugh with us. The next one is, in a disagreement of opinion, present us with cold hard facts. We can't argue against something when it's a fact. We're very black and white like that. So if you're having an argument with your loved one and it's a matter of opinion, but you know that you can back your opinion up with scientific facts, present your loved one with the document that explains the thinking behind your opinion. Present them with cold, hard facts. It's very hard to argue against a scientific fact. You know, it's very hard to argue against the meaning of a word if factually we know by looking it up in the dictionary what the meaning of the word is. 9 times out of 10 we will be like, oh, okay, cool, yep, I was wrong, fair enough. We don't mind being wrong. We just need evidence that supports our wrongness, I guess. So just present us with as much facts as you can if you're having a disagreement and you know that you are factually correct. The next one is to do with rules. Work together to create rules. We love following rules, we really do. And if we have a hand in creating them, then we're really going to follow them, like right to the T, man. If we've participated in creating the rule, then we feel like we have more control of the situation. So it definitely brings our anxiety down to know that a rule that was created was one that was collaborated on, rather than just somebody approaching us and say, right, this is what's happening and you don't have a choice. You have to follow this rule. And when it comes to rules as well, if you're creating rules with your partner, with your loved one, remember to follow them. Don't create a rule and then not follow it, because that's really just gonna piss us off. That's really gonna make us angry because we're following the rules and you can't. Why can't you follow the rules? I don't understand. We created these rules together and now you're not following them. That's really, really annoying. Just follow the damn rule. And if our rules are already in place and a rule needs to be changed, then work together to change the rules. We know that we can change our rule system, but it must be done in increments. A great place to start when wanting to change a rule is to open a dialogue between the two of you to talk about why the rule exists to begin with, what led you to thinking that maybe we could change the rule, and why it would be a good thing to change it. Once the possibility of change has been suggested, we can then gently start making the change happen. Also, again, like previously, giving us time to consider the rule and the change to the rule that's happening is really going to help there, rather than just changing the rule and that's that. Talk first, allow us time to consider the change, and then gently implement the change. That is the best way to do it. An example of this, which was not thought up by me, it was thought up by the group. If there is a rule in your kitchen that the table must always be clean, it must always be wiped down, and it cannot go more than 5 minutes without being shiny, then talk to each other about where this is coming from. Talk to each other about why it's important to have the table clean, and what would happen if the table was dirty for 10 minutes instead of 5 minutes, or 20 minutes, or even 30 minutes. Implementing the change could be as simple as, next time the table is dirty, instead of focusing on the table, redirect the focus to the sink to make sure all the dishes are done. And if all the dishes are done in the sink, then redirect the focus to the counter first to make sure the counter is clean, and then head to the table. It's okay if the table's going to be dirty for a little while. You'll get to it eventually, but more important things are getting focused on first. The next thing is to remind us that a grey area exists. Because we have this very black and white thinking, it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off.
It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off, it's on, off, it's on, it's off, it's on, off, it's on. That's called blinking, boys.
It's all okay, or none of it's okay. Reminding us in a situation where it's not so simply that black and white, that a grey area does exist, and what that grey area is helps us by giving us a launching point to have a think about, okay, maybe our thinking is not as clear cut as it needs to be in this situation. Reminding us that there are in-between areas to consider, especially with arguments that are not so black and white. Reminding us that there are in-between areas will make us consider those areas, especially from a different perspective. Validating how we feel really helps here. Something as simple as, hey, look, I agree with your thinking. This does seem like a very logical thought process that you have concluded. But let's not forget that this might not happen in this situation, and then let's open up a dialogue and talk about what could potentially happen instead. Let's move to the next one, validation. At their core, we know that the behaviors that we perform are usually a compulsion out of fear and out of discomfort. We're well aware of this, and this is why we will look to you. We will look to our loved ones for the support that we need to be able to get us back to healthier ways of thinking. By validating our behavior, even if it seems neurotic and it seems controlling and it seems really counterproductive, it shows that you understand how we're feeling. It shows that you are thinking about us and you are considering our point of view. Because we do consider your point of view too. We don't just go, oh, it's my opinion and my opinion is the correct one. We do think about your opinion as well. By validating our behaviors and our concerns, you are showing empathy, and you are showing that you do understand and that you do care about us. And it also makes it a lot easier to suggest change. It makes it easier to suggest a difference of opinion. It makes it easier to correct a behavior as well if we feel that our feelings are valid and that how we are feeling is okay. A lot of us, especially when we were younger, often had our feelings invalidated. And that's where a lot of the core ideas of control come from, where we have to feel like we have to control everything, we have to control our emotions, we have to control the environment around us because we were invalidated so many times that we felt like nothing. But now we're adults, we do feel like something, we do feel worth in ourselves, but the best way to display that worth is by controlling everything. So if you can impress upon us that you understand how we feel and why we feel the way we do, it's going to make us much more relaxed about having a behavior corrected or about having something changed for us. So just validate us and let us know that it's okay for us to feel the way that we feel. It's human to feel feelings, and it's okay to feel them. The next one is a don't, actually, possibly more counterproductive, but don't ask us if we're okay. Don't ask us if we're all right. Don't ask us if we're fine, because we're always going to tell you that we are. We're always going to say, yeah, we're all right. Yeah, we're fine. Yeah, there's no problem. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, even though you can clearly see that we are not fine, that there is a storm brewing in there, that we are upset, that we are angry, but we are refusing to show that emotion. We are refusing to let that mask slip, that facade, because we don't want you to think that we're weak. We don't want you to think that we're anything except okay. So just by asking us if we're all right, we're just going to say, yeah, we're fine. There's no drama here. I don't know what you're talking about. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Instead, recognize that there's discomfort and again, validate those feelings. Rather than asking us if we're okay, say something like, I can see that you're feeling a bit uncomfortable. I can see that you're a little upset. Is there anything that you'd like to talk about? Is there anything you'd like to get off your chest? By asking us an open-ended question rather than just a yes or a no question, they're known as closed questions, where they're just simply you can say yes or you can say no, and that's it. By asking us an open-ended question, you're giving us the space to be able to say how we're feeling. And it's probably not going to come out at once. We do need time to collect the thoughts and catalog them before we can really express how we feel. So at first you may find that we will say, no, there's not really anything that I want to talk about. If that happens, you can just say, okay, well, I'm here if you need me. I'm here if you need someone to talk to. And then just wait. And you'll find that the floodgates will open and all of those emotions will just come pouring out. And they're probably not going to make a lot of sense. So just smile and nod and say, oh yeah, I can see how you'd be feeling that way. Just let them get all their emotions out. Let them get everything out of their brain. Let them just kind of blah everything out. Word vomit, I believe it's called. Let them word vomit it all out and then validate how they're feeling. It's much better than just saying, hey, you all right? You okay? All right then, cool. Don't ask if we're okay. Validate our feelings and then ask us what's on our minds. That's the easiest way to get the communication rolling, to get those words, to get that word vomit out. The next one is be okay with us controlling a little bit. The reason why we control and the reason why we have this compulsion to control everything is because we had such a loss of control when we were children or growing up, is that we felt like we never had control in a situation or that we were never validated. So it brings us comfort to be in control. So sometimes just let us be in control. If it's really not an issue, if it's something that you feel that we are handling really well and that you don't need to have a hand in, then just let us have control of the situation. It will be much easier, I promise. One last thing, if you can see that we are beginning to dysregulate, that we are really beginning to become emotionally unstable, and you can see that we are feeling like that we are losing control of a situation and there's a lot of anxiety taking place, take us to a place that brings us comfort. One of the group members says that her companion will take her to IKEA, which I think is awesome because IKEA is really nicely organized and apparently her favorite spot is baskets, the baskets and storage, right? Oh my God, storage and baskets is awesome. I love IKEA. I love going to Officeworks because I love stationery. I love going to Spotlight, which is like a homewares and haberdashery and fabric shop. So I love going there as well and just looking at everything. But take us to a place that you know is going to bring us comfort. That will kind of really help bring us back down out of that spiral of emotional mess that we're experiencing and just make us feel like we're a little bit more at home or a little bit more in control of the situation. And it will just really help calm us down. So bring us to a place that you know brings us comfort. Even if it's the same coffee shop that you go to every single week, just go again. Take us there. Take us to the coffee shop and order us our favorite coffee. And I think we'll be really grateful for that sameness. We'll be grateful for that nice level of comfort, and we'll also be grateful because you're validating us and you're actively working to make us feel better, and in turn that's just going to make us work even harder to make you happy, because we do like to please. We're very loyal people. We don't like making our loved ones unhappy for no reason. We don't like putting our loved ones through hell. We're very loyal, and we will do almost anything for our families and the people around us to ensure that they're happy. So by showing us that you care means that we're going to put in a hell of a lot more effort to show that we care as well. If you feel that you have a loved one that might have OCPD, then please gently encourage them to go see a professional and get themselves the help that they deserve. It's not nice living with this condition undiagnosed. It's not. Thinking back, I believe I first started showing traits of OCPD in my young adulthood. So this would be, I would say I would have been 18 or 19 when I really started showing traits of OCPD. The level of perfectionism, that whole feeling of never being good enough, that feeling that nothing I ever did would ever be to the standard I wanted it to be, that there was just no hope for me. I just could not understand the behaviors that I would do, and I felt very alone. I felt very unloved. I felt very misunderstood. I've only been diagnosed since October 2020, so that was at least a good decade that I was living with this condition undiagnosed, and it was just wrecking my life. It was just wreaking havoc on everything. Every time I had an idea or something that I thought I could pursue creatively or academically or a way to improve my career, I would just constantly sabotage myself, and I never understood why, and it was just awful. I personally have made so much progress in my style of thinking, in my perfectionism, in my need to hoard things that I don't need to hoard. I have made so much progress in just like a few months, more progress than I ever made in the preceding 10 years until I knew that this condition existed, basically. Please, please get them the help that they deserve. Please encourage them to go see a professional to get a formal diagnosis. Because at the end of the day, they deserve it and you deserve it, because you're a good person too. You wouldn't be here on my video searching through my channel, all my awful videos to begin with. Please don't go see any of my other videos because they're terrible. Basically, if you see the thumbnail, the new style thumbnail that I've got going on right now, just click on those videos. Don't worry about any of the preceding ones because they're awful. Like, I finally gotten it to a spot where I like how my videos look, but it took me 2 years to get here. Wow. You wouldn't be here searching OCPD unless you cared about this person. You wouldn't be here learning about how it worked unless you cared about them. So thank you for clicking on this video. Thank you for showing the loved one that you do care about them, because that's really what we need, is just a little bit of love, a little bit of care, and just a little bit of validation. I'll stop rambling now. Thank you for being here with me. I really do appreciate it. If you like my videos, please subscribe and share them. Apparently, OCPD is becoming one of the more commonly diagnosed personality disorders, and yet there is almost nothing on the internet about it. So the more we can share and the more we can talk about it, the more we can reach out and find people who are just as lost as I felt. I'd also like to thank the OCPD support group. You guys are awesome. Wouldn't be here today without you. I really do appreciate your support. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. So comment below if you have any suggestions for other videos that you would like me to explore, other topics that you'd like me to talk about. I'll be happy to answer what questions I can. Again, I can't give specific individual advice because I'm not qualified to do so, but I am at least qualified to talk about these things. Yay me. Thank you for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. My name is Eden. I have lots of ideas. I'll see you in the next video to talk about another one. Ta-ta!